Hi, I'm Nikki Usher. I'm an assistant professor at the George Washington School of Media and Public Affairs in Washington, D.C. So I just finished my last book on interactive journalism, sometimes called data journalism or programming journalism or even hacker journalism. I'm really glad that that's out now, and I try to sort of define this subfield using case studies from 14 different newsrooms across the world. So I'm promoting that, but now I'm moving on to my next project on post-industrial journalism in metropolitan newsrooms. But the U.S. election caught me a little bit by surprise, and I'm feeling much more of a call to public scholarship at this point. So we'll see where that goes. So with the post-industrial journalism research, I'm planning on looking at the connection between the material and the digital as far as place, space, and time. And so drawing those connections through sort of questioning the narrative of journalism, can it ever be sort of truly post-industrial, and thinking about journalism as industry, not as an industry, but as industry. What I mean by that is that journalism in the 1980s was the largest manufacturing industry in the United States. And so there's a story to be told about blue-collar workers, newspaper circulation delivery, some of these sort of deeply material things, and what that means when they're suddenly sort of turned into a digital experience, or if they ever can be. So I've learned a valuable lesson, which is to present your new book in bits and pieces along the way, even if you're not writing journal articles about it. So actually at ICA, I'll be delivering a paper on newspaper strikes, which I'm using archival research from the 60s to talk about sort of the way that physical labor used to dictate a lot of the production processes in news, and we've sort of left behind even talking about the fact that there are these workers who do things with their hands, who are, part of the journalism enterprise, and they have a story to tell too. My general contention is that newspaper strikes, at least in the U.S., destroyed the news industry. It's not exactly a popular position to take because it's pretty anti-labor, but I think that there's a definitive a case that you can make that people's user behavior with news changed when you don't have a newspaper for 62 weeks, right? You are suddenly watching TV, and actually the broadcast channels went from 15 to 30 minutes during that time, and so broadcast realized that it could be really truly a source of original news generation. And so I think it starts there, and there are also sort of discussions about pensions and discussions about sort of guaranteed jobs, and then it moves from the printers to actually the white collar workers, same sort of demands. And so I don't know, unexplored story. So the election was instructive for a lot of reasons, but I'm going to try to teach myself a little bit of social network analysis because I'd like to sort of test out some hypotheses about networks, particularly among journalists, and start to sort of figure out sort of who do they know? Is this really sort of an elite national, so thinking a little bit about that. But I really think there's a call to public scholarship, and I think that there's a real case to be made for trying to write regular pieces in regular places about the role of communication in the political process, and that's not something we have a lot of in the States.